Real people, real opinions, Real Talk Radio. The multi-award-winning Niall Boylan Show.
Ireland's classic hits.
You may have heard about the news. There's a case in Scotland has caused a huge stir in the UK. Yesterday, 22-year-old Sean Hogg and had his conviction. You're actually not going to believe this story. For raping a 13-year-old, continuously, repeatedly raped her. He had the conviction squashed. And it all came down to the fact that he was under 25. In January 2022, this is the mad world we live in now. Thankfully, Nicola Sturgeon is gone from Scotland now anyway. But anyway, the mad world, this mad nutty world that we live in. Back in January 2022, the Scottish Sentencing Council guidelines on young people came into effect. And these guidelines advise against custodial sentences for people under the age of 25. And the reason is, or the idea behind that is, that people, human beings, according to scientists, are not fully matured until they're 25. Now, legally, you're an adult when you're 18. Because you can buy a drink, you can drive a car, you can do all of those things. Have sex, do whatever you want. But scientifically, allegedly, the brain doesn't fully mature till you're 25 because you've had a bit of life experience. In the case of Sean Hogg, who walked out of the courtroom with a smile on his face, smirking today, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who would like to put the smirk on the other side of his face. And my absolute empathy for the family of the 13-year-old girl who had to sit and witness him walking out of the court smiling. Lord Lake said that he had been older than 25 when he committed the offence. If he had been, he's the judge, by the way. If he had been older than 25 when he committed the offence, he would have faced a 4 or 5 year custodial sentence. Even a 4 or 5 year custodial sentence for repeatedly raping a 13-year-old to me seems very lenient. But however, unsurprisingly, campaigners and politicians have been outraged. And it got us kind of thinking in the office about the age of criminal responsibility. I want to leave that case aside because, unfortunately, we can't say anything bad about this guy because he's not guilty, according to a court. When I say he's not guilty, he had his conviction squashed. His original conviction, by the way, he was only given something like 3 or 4 weeks or months or something in community service. He was never given a custodial sentence for raping a 13-year-old girl. But it's now squashed. So essentially, he's not guilty of the crime anymore. So back to what we were talking about in the office today, myself and Jane, and a few of the staff. We were talking about the age of criminal responsibility because I kind of raised the issue of the age of criminal responsibility. And whether you know it or not, in Ireland, you can't be convicted of a crime under the age of 12. Now, if it's a serious crime, like murder, manslaughter, rape, or aggravated assault, which is very unlikely under the age of 12, at 10 or 11, you can be charged. But you will be charged as a child. You won't be charged and treated like an adult. Now, there have been rare cases in the UK, but not in Ireland yet, where children were treated and charged like adults. And the case that comes to mind that everybody will remember would be the case of Jamie Bulger, where 2 12-year-olds were taken to court and charged with murder. We've never had that in this country. The closest we've got, actually, was the Anna Creedle case, more recently, where there were young boys involved. But they were over the age of 13. Earlier this year, the UN Committee on the Rights of the Child said that Ireland should raise that age to at least 14 years of age. That would, according to them, this would be to ensure that the detention of children is only used as a last resort. Now, I want to let you know what I think of this. When do you think we know the difference between right and wrong? Do Scotland have it right with their laws? I mean, does a 21-year-old not know the difference between right and wrong? I'm sure they do. But let me get back to the age of criminal responsibility. Do you think a 13-year-old doesn't know the difference between right and wrong for criminal responsibility? According to the UN, we should make it 14. So in other words, you have to be 15 to be actually charged with something. When should children be protected? If a 9-year-old kills somebody, are they responsible? And if not, who is responsible? And it has happened. Rarely, but it has happened. If a 9-year-old steals, According to the UN, if a 13-year-old steals, they shouldn't be responsible. If they cause criminal damage, if they stab somebody, they shouldn't be responsible. If they put a brick through a Garda car window, they shouldn't be responsible. If they steal a car, which does happen in this country, at 14, they shouldn't be responsible, according to the UN, because they're children and they don't really know the difference between right and wrong, according to the UN. Now, remember, it's 12 at the moment, but they want to increase it to 14. Is that a good idea? Let me know what you think. The number is, as usual, 087 188 0008. That's 087 188 0008. Let me go first of all to Sandy. Sandy, hi, how are you?
Hiya, Niall. How are you?
Good. The age of criminal responsibility. Does a 14-year-old know what he's doing? Or she?
Of course they know what they're doing, yeah. And I think that the law should be brought down to 12 years of age. Yeah.
Well,
my reason... Sorry, go on.
Well, no, the law is currently 12 years of age, but they want to increase it to 14.
No, leave it to 12. No, leave it to 12. Because you know yourself, the way... I'm living down in Athlone, and they want to downgrade the Athlone Garda Barracks because it's actually a drugs unit at the minute. And basically, there currently no guards in our town as it is. There may be two in the station. And if you ring the Athlone Garda station, you're put through to the Garda station in Dublin. So you could be waiting forever for a guard.
You're kidding me. So hold on, this is important. So the guard, there's only one Garda station in Athlone, you're saying?
Yeah, it's a big one. It has been upgraded in the last year. Yeah, it has been upgraded. You know,
and how many guards are in it?
I could not tell you, but if you go into the guard station, you're basically maybe two if you're lucky. And I'm a receptionist there. I know it's ridiculous. And Athlone is the worst place in the Midlands for drugs, basically. And it was in our local paper today that you actually see these drug dealers and everything dealing
openly, dealing.
Openly, yeah. But getting back to the age bracket, it should not be changed because children, even at 12 years of age, know exactly right from wrong. Because you know what these video games that they do be playing on the Xbox and everything, they learn from that. They learn from television. They learn from what they see on the streets. And obviously the parents are not telling them what the right and the wrong and everything. You know, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
So you believe a 12-year-old even knows the difference between right and wrong. But stealing, definitely. I mean, the things generally 12-year-olds might do wrong would be stealing or, I don't know, assault of another child or whatever, physical assault. Yeah. So they're the kind of things they would do. But at the moment, they're not criminally responsible until they're over 12. So they must be 13 to be criminally responsible, essentially.
Yeah.
Now, they want to make that 15 because essentially they want to increase it till 14. So in other words, you have to be over 14. In other words, 15 years of age.
I know. But the youth, they are getting younger and younger.
What do you make of this case in Scotland? So because
I didn't hear, but sorry. Go on,
so he was 22 when he committed the crime. He was 17 when he committed the crime. He appeared in court when he was 22 years of age, and he raped a 13-year-old girl repeatedly.
Oh, God,
and he was freed from court because under the Scottish law, you're not mature till you're 25, and you're forgiven and you won't get a custodial sentence.
That is ridiculous. You see, that's where the law needs to come in. That these institutions for young offenders, as they call them, there needs to be more of them around Ireland. And I'm not downgrading the Gardaí. The Gardaí are doing a great job. But since they closed all these small rural Garda stations in small little towns, the crime rates have gone up, definitely. And there's not enough Gardaí because they're not getting paid enough for the jobs that they do.
Yeah.
Then Gardaí have to go through an awful lot. You know.
No, I agree with you. No, I understand, and I completely agree with you. I wouldn't be a guard.
No, I wouldn't be because you have to face it. There was an incident here. I can't go too much into it in the Athlone area. It was actually during the week that these little gurriers, as I call them, in a nicer way of putting it, do go around here with fireworks and they're hitting cars and everything, and that is a criminal offence. So they went to a certain shop in the Athlone area near where I live, looking for an argument with the workers inside the store and breaking windows. And they're literally under the age of 12. So what do you do there? You have to.
Yeah, but sure, and I've seen, no, you're right, and I've seen it in certain parts of Dublin as well, where these little gurriers, those little toe rags, as you say, and usually it's because their parents don't care what they're doing.
Exactly.
Because I can tell you now, when my kids were 12, I knew where they were all the time. But here's the thing, so, what do you do? Let's say a 12-year-old goes into a shop, lets a firework off and blinds somebody. You know what I mean? What do you do with the 12-year-old? Do you just say, oh, well, they're under 13, so they can't really do anything about it? Or do you put them in detention centres?
Yeah, detention centres, yes. But that's where Tussler, I hate saying going about social workers and everything, because you've had your bad experience with them as well. I know. But that's where they should be involved as well. They have to go and see the parents as well. And if the parents don't get exams, yeah, right, we're going to take them away to the institution centres, whatever you like. And for that, you're going to be fined as well for the damage that they did. Let them suffer the consequences as well. Because there's some parents out there that don't give a damn on where their children are. The old saying, yourself and your mother or father would turn around and go out and play with the traffic, whatever.
Yeah. Play with the traffic.
Yeah. But they'd say to you, right, I want you in here at 9 o'clock. We had a rule at home. I'm not saying that I'm a saint, but if we went out at night time to a nightclub or whatever, you're going to laugh at this. We had to be in by 3 o'clock. If we were not in that door by 3 o'clock, our mother would be standing at the front door in a nightgown as you come to the top of the terrace with a sweeping brush and get you down that second street. She'd come after us.
I know, but it was the same when I was young. Like, even up to the age of 16, 17, I had to be home at a certain time. When I was young, at 11 or 12, I was in bed by 8 in winter time, 8:30, and maybe 9 or 10 during the summer. But stay there for a second. Let me just go to Donal as well. Donal, hi, how are you?
How are you doing now? Long time since I spoke to you.
It has been a while, Donal. I hope everything is okay.
Yeah. I had a bad year this year, to be honest.
Okay, well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. My brother died of cancer in April.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
I tell you,
Your ears must have been burning. I was talking about you one night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking to Sarah Horgan from the Echo Live about the Echo Boys, the boys that be selling the Echo.
Oh, yeah.
And I gave you a mention.
Yeah. Marion, can I say one thing to you? Just it's a completely different subject, but I wanted to tell somebody and the airways. Like, my brother, we did the palliative care with cancer, and I often give out about the HSE now, often did. But let me tell you about these nurses in palliative care. Angels, now.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. The way they treated my brother and my mother and my family, oh my God, now. They were absolute angels. And I know they're well trained, but I don't believe it's all training.
No, it's personal. They take it seriously. Yes.
Like, I come down one more. Like, every time they come into the house, a different nurse, they wanted to know his name, they wanted to know everything about him. And the man was, like, he was out with morphine, so he wouldn't have even been able to speak back, but they wanted to know,
Yeah, they wanted to make it personal. Of course they did.
Yeah. I come down one morning. He died in my mother's house. We all came around, we laughed, we cried, we argued for about 9 days,
Yeah.
But I came down one morning at 5 o'clock and there was a nurse doing her notes with just a little flash lamp. She wouldn't even turn on the nightlight.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, Donal, my condolences to you and your family. And I'm sorry I had a tough year.
Yeah, I just wanted that to get out there anyway, that these people are angels. Absolutely angels.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Get on to the other thing.
Okay, so yes, so the main question is here, do you believe you should be criminally responsible under the age of 15?
I'm coming from a slightly different angle, if I may. Parents should be made more responsible now. I went driving a double-decker bus for Bus Éireann during the pandemic, and their little scuts and scumbags roaming the streets, 10 years of age, 9 years of age, not a sign of a parent. Parents don't know where they are or give a shite where they are.
Yeah.
I honestly believe if a youngster's arrested And if it's proved that they don't know where they are, I put them in the dock with them. Now, if you have a dog, you have to know where they are.
And
Like if my dog went missing, I go out looking for him.
do you believe a 14-year-old should be before a judge in a dock if they commit a crime?
And yes, and I believe the parents should be alongside him.
Well, see, according to the UN, 14-year-olds shouldn't be. They shouldn't be criminally responsible.
Now, somebody once a crime, there's no such thing as a victimless crime anyway, okay?
No, there's always a victim.
Once a crime's there, somebody has to pay, like. Of course somebody has to pay, like. Because if we keep increasing it, what's going to happen is we're going to see more cases of that scumbag over Scotland. Like.
When I read this story today, and by the way, just to remind people what we're talking about there, this 22-year-old in Scotland.
Yeah.
When I read the story and I seen a picture of him coming out of court laughing, he had his hand up to his face and he was laughing. Now you want to see the amount of comments on the Daily Mail with people saying, "I'll kick the smile off his face" and all this kind of stuff.
Well, I'm not aggravating violence, but hopefully he will.
Well, 13 years of age.
Yeah,
I mean, the girl was 13 and he raped her repeatedly. And he didn't. He's not even going to jail because the judge said he's under 25, and according to Scottish law, which was brought in with Nicola Sturgeon in 2022, by the way, his brain is not mature enough to understand the right from wrong. Would you give me a break?
You know, like that poor girl, her life, I
It's
hope
destroyed.
That probably mentally, she'll probably never have a relationship. Never. Never trust a man again, which is sad as well because you have a dementing.
See, if I was a judge or a lawmaker, if that guy had raped a 13-year-old, I'd put him in jail for the rest of his life.
But there's the problem, is the lawmaker. Like we have a Minister of Justice at the moment, she's living in La La Land. It's all she cares about is minorities and free speech and walking around Dublin with guards and saying Dublin is safe. Dublin is a kit now.
Oh, it is.
It's a kit. And I tell you, because I'm doing tour buses now. Actually, I'm driving home from Galway tonight after my last tour. I outside the plaza, the Academy Plaza on Collins Street. I came out here one morning at 8 o'clock. My bus was parked and two other buses. The bus in front of me and the bus behind me completely wrecked. Every single window broke in the buses.
Yeah.
They were waiting an hour and 30 minutes for guards to come along. Now that last lady said that the guards aren't being paid enough at all. I have no faith left in the guards. No faith whatsoever left in guards in this country.
I don't think it's their fault primarily, Donald. I think
they have a lot of responsibility, and I don't have to go with the political correctness and say the majority of them are nice and everything, because I don't know the majority of them are doing their job. But I know quite a lot of them aren't doing their job. But what I do believe is they go in to do a job properly, but then they get in and they see, so look it, who gives a shite? Why should I give a shite?
But that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. The morale, the resources, the pay, there's a lot to do with it.
Well, now you take a note to do a job.
No, I get that. I get that.
Well, I heard they were balloting for strike again. I was disgusted. I think that's disgraceful that guard would ballot to strike. I think it's absolutely disgusting. That's just my opinion.
The Drew flu. I think the Drew flu is off now. They're not going to do it now.
Oh, yeah, but sure, they've not done well in the budget. That's like the Defence Forces. But sure, there you go. But no, society is broken down, and the family is broken down. And you said yourself, Niall, when you were growing up, me and you were about the same age. My old fella had one simple rule: be a guard or a priest at the door, and you're dead. And you would be, and he would bring you very close to death. Let me tell you.
Yeah, we now know there was never a guard called to our door because But I do remember being on the corner at 7 or 8 o'clock at night in a winter's night in the dark, and Smiley, who was a guard from Coolock, used to come around. He was on the beat, and if he seen you, you'd get a clatter across the back of the head, and you'd be told to go home.
We had one there, the lady, he'd kick you home. And who were you going to tell? You weren't going to tell anyone. You were delighted. That's all you got was I. Yeah. Now, could you imagine if a girl laid her hands on a young? Would you stop?
Yeah, I know.
Jesus.
Why not?
That's what's gone wrong, Niall. Stop this shite. The whole, and as a Minister of Justice.
It's not just the guards that have become soft on teenagers, and maybe that's not really their fault. It's society that's dictated that, but it's parents as well.
Yeah, but Niall, you go to Portugal or any of the European countries, or even Eastern European now, you see police people. They're dressed military, they're young, they're fit. You won't even approach them. That's what we need. I see guards walking around with their hands in their pockets, overweight, unfit. You just look at them and you're taking them as a joke. That's the honest truth. When I see guards standing with their hands in their pockets, you're properly dressed and overweight, you take them as a joke.
Yeah, no, I know, I understand.
And that's what's gone wrong in the country. And
Okay, getting back to our scuts, right? Our 13-year-olds, say, for example, right? We'll take the age of 13 because at the moment, the criminal age of responsibility is 12, which means you must be 13 to be criminally responsible. They want to increase it to 14, which means you must be 15 to be criminally responsible. Do you think that a 14-year-old should be put into a detention centre, like St. Pat's, what used to be St. Pat's anyway?
I do, yeah, but it should be, if you're going into a detention centre or a prison, it should be like it was. There's a program there, Reeling in the Years was on one time, and St. Patrick's was filming on it. They were out doing exercises. Now, you see, jail is only a college now. It's a college for crime. If you put a youngster, the first time he was ever in trouble, into a youth offenders, chances are 90% of them are going to learn about serious crime.
Well, then what do you do with a youngster at 14 who commits assault or puts a rock through a window? Or what do you do with them?
I'm talking more prevention than anything else. Parents have to take responsibility. Not. And until we address it, it's going to keep happening.
Okay, well, hang on. Let me go to Breda as well. Breda, hi, how are you doing?
Hi, Niall. How are you?
Good, nice to talk to you, Breda. I mean, listening to Donal there, he's a rock of sense, God bless him. Anyway, but in relation to criminal responsibility, what is the age where you should be criminally responsible?
Well, I mean, I think, you have to allow people a chance to maybe realise they've done something wrong. So I think 15 is fine. Like I was saying to you earlier on, if you're given a criminal record at 12 or 13 years of age, your life becomes very small and very confined. You can't go to America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. You can't get a job like, say, with us in Aer Lingus. You can't there'll be so many things that will be restricted against you. And I agree with Donald that parents have to be responsible for their kids. Now, I know some people, it doesn't matter what to do, the kids will just go and do whatever anyway. But I think they have to be given a chance to try and see they're going down the wrong path. Now, how you do that, maybe boot camp like they do in America, or put them into the juvenile system for a week and let them see what it's like to be surrounded by big, hard young fellas, 16, 17 years of age. And it might just frighten the life out of them and they might never do it again.
Yeah. So you are talking about incarceration of some type?
Well, just for a week, or do boot camp for a week.
Yeah.
I see it. They do them in America.
Yeah, I've seen them. I've seen them in America. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's an amazing. We've army guys here that I'm not being disrespectful because my cousin is in the army, but they would have time maybe to incorporate a boot camp down on the Curragh, and maybe try and put these young fellas.
Put a bit of discipline on them.
Put discipline and put them back in the straight and narrow.
And what about what Donal is saying, that parents should be fined?
I agree with him there. I mean, my lady never walked the streets when she was in her teens because I wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
She was kept occupied and busy doing dancing and all sorts of things. And if she went somewhere, she was brought and she was picked up. And if she wasn't where she said she was going, and she did it once to me, Niall, she never did it again, I can tell you.
Right.
Because it grounded her.
What do you say to people listening and say, and I always say it on the air, but my kids, right up to the age of, say, 16, 17 even probably, I knew where they were all the time. And they say to me, don't be so stupid, you're being naive now. You didn't know where they were.
No,
I did.
No, you're not. Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying to you. One Halloween, she wanted to go to a party thing across the way. And I said, right, her friend came over to stay the night. And I went looking for them and they weren't there. And when I found where there was murder. And I mean, there was murder. But I can tell you one thing.
She never did it again.
No, she didn't. Because there was consequences to her action. And
but is that the problem now? That's what I'm saying to Donal. Now, Donal believes the guards are too soft. I'm not going to completely disagree with him, but maybe that's not their fault either. Society has dictated that to some degree. But do you think parents are too soft?
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with the smack of a wooden spoon on your ass. I got plenty of them, let me tell you, growing up.
Say Donal got a fair few of them, yeah.
Yeah. Now,
you and your brother Donal, I'd say you were up to no good a lot of the time, by the way.
Can I tell you, listen, my old fella never hit us. His voice is enough. But the mother, whatever was beside her, whatever it was, a brush, a knife,
a knife.
She often says to us, I'll fucking stab you. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
My mother used a bamboo cane out of her plant. She had a spider plant in the front room. And if you did anything wrong, the bamboo cane that held it up was pulled out of the plant and you got it across the arse, or else her slipper.
Yeah, your mother or my mother should be in jail, like.
No, Donald, it shouldn't, because you know something, to put manners on it. And it wasn't
I'm only joking,
Aye, she knows.
But they had no other way around us. They had no other way around us, like.
Yeah, and you know what? You're actually right when I think about it. My father actually very rarely ever, went near us physically, right? He'd shout at you. And if my father shouted at you, you'd shit yourself, right? Because my father was the one who sent you to your room. And I remember if you did anything wrong with my mother, she gave you hiding. But she'd give you a hiding in syllables.
I got that,
You dare do that again as the wooden spoon came down.
Yeah. And the most important thing is you never ever answered her, because if you did, you got more smacks, right? So, and there was this thing, I always remember. So she'd be holding you by the hand, right? And you'd have your back arched and she'd be hitting you with the slipper or the cane, right, on the arse. And she'd be going, don't you ever and she'd do this. And if you even turn around and say, I won't do it again. I know you won't do it again. And she'd be hitting you as she was going along, right? But here's the thing. You'd be sitting there then crying, right? And you know that feeling where you can't breathe when you're crying? It's like, and she said, and then she turned around to you and say, if you don't stop crying, I'll give you something to cry about.
But Niall, do you know the mad thing about mother? Do you know the mad thing about mothers, Niall? And this is why my sisters hate me. When you get to the teenage years, then you're brilliant. You can't do wrong. I remember when I joined the army, I came home on leave. And I went drinking, of course, down the Ironman. And I got sick out of the side of the bed at home in my mother's house. She got in the next morning, she looked at it. She said, where were you last night? No, I had a load of drink taken and everything else like that. And I said, I had a few pints. I went into the chipper then. I told you, stay out of that chipper. The food in there is poison.
So in other words, she'd never blame you. Yeah.
No, there's a chipper. I didn't even know when I got down to see her. The sister said it was the one down. And he was, but I don't know where he finds the time. You know,
he's the angel. Yeah, he's the angel. Yeah. Although they did it because they loved us. That's why they did it. But anyway, the point I suppose we're getting to is that we were disciplined. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that some parents went over the top when it came to physical discipline, and that's what, a lot of the controversy was about when they brought in legislation to stop it from happening. But I do believe that discipline has vanished completely, Breda, when it comes to the family home and children.
No, in all parts of society, never mind just at home. I mean, people are afraid to say boo to someone now if kids step out of line. If a child's being bold or doing something and the parents standing back and not doing anything about it, I would actually go, oh my God, and just give them a look. People have to take responsibility for their kids. Kids can't run riot when they're outside. They can't, go in and bend cards in the shop or slit their magazines or whatever else. And Mommy stands back and goes, no, darling, don't do that.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And you know what? We had respect for our parents too. Now, I said this before and people took it up wrong. I had a fear of my father, but it wasn't a fear. It was a respect that I had for him. Do you understand what I'm saying? I still loved him.
My mother only had to say, "Niall, wait till your father comes."
Oh, yeah.
And you'd be gone. You were gone. Upstairs. You wouldn't
do you want me to tell you the funniest one ever, right? My brother, who was 4 years younger than me, turned around. I'm going to have to use a bad word here on the radio, right? So everybody prepare yourself. Anyway, something my mother said, and he had heard this word in school. And he called my mother a wanker, right? Now, I can tell you now, my parents were Christians and they were practicing Catholics. There was never bad language used in our house for my mother or my father. Ever, right? Ever. And my mother said, what does that mean? And he went, and I'm looking and I'm going, oh my God, we're both dead. We're both dead, right? And he says, I don't know. It's just a funny word. And she went, oh, okay. So my father came home from work at about 5:30. There was nothing more said about it. And my father said something to my mother. And my mother turned around and said, oh, shut up, you wanker. And my father, the blood drained from his face. Myself and my brother were sitting there going, oh shit. And he said, where did you hear that word, Lily? And he says, Arthur said it earlier on. It was my brother Arthur. And the two of us ran out the door of the house because we knew we were dead. But it was the funniest. I still remember it. Well, hang on, I got to go to Sean. Sean, hi, how are you doing?
How you doing, Noel? How are
A
you?
lot of reminiscing going on here, Sean. I love my parents to bits. Sadly, they're both passed away a long time ago, but I love them to bits. But Sean,
Yeah,
you know, what do we do with a 14-year-old that commits a crime?
Well, you know, and I love that reminiscing, Noel. I'm about to be listening to it, and you know, it's something that you know I can share with you as well.
Yeah.
You wouldn't dare, you wouldn't cross the line with your parents back then.
No.
You know, and that was the way it was for us. As you know, and I had a very big family. We were all grown up. You wouldn't disrespect anybody, Noel.
No.
And if you did, you'd know it, and you'd get the full rigours of the law.
Oh, you'd be in the room. You'd be in the room for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Noel. And I remember I took a couple of cakes out of a local shop one day, Noel. I was only a kid, Noel. Now, when I say a kid, I was only 13, 12, 13. And I'm not messing with you, Noel. I wasn't allowed out for 2 weeks solid.
Yeah.
And I had to do all the housework, whatever housework was needed to be done. And that was crucifying, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, the parents were good back then. I'm not saying that we're bad parents. We do the best what we can for the kids, Noel. But there is particular parents out there that just don't give a fucking...
No.
They don't have a care in the world. And what they're happening is little Johnny's out there. He's out there now, 14 years of age, 12 years of age, because I've seen them. And they're attacking people. They're giving people stick. They're in the back of stolen cars.
They're in the back of stolen cars.
For the bigger boys.
Yeah, they're carrying drugs.
Young to get away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's
dreadful.
2023, guys, and I was listening to one of the callers there, and they said, look, they have the Garda caution service there, and what you were saying there, Noel, what you do with them. So they're being cautious, but they're giving them the fingers because they're back in again and again and again and again. As where I'm concerned is, and I'm very concerned now because like I'm seeing the way this Ireland is going. I think, and it's going to sound harsh, and I know it's going to sound harsh, but kids know, and they're not kids. Well, they are kids. We all have to call them as kids. They are. I'm going to agree with you. They are. Sorry, but 12, 13, they know what they're doing. They're not stupid. They're well ahead. They're well advanced. You know, they've iPhones when they're 8 years of age. Jesus, for fuck's sake, they have computers. They know what the world is. They know what it's all about.
Yeah, they know what right and wrong is. Yeah, of course they do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
but now,
if you ask me,
sorry to interrupt there. Do they know what right and wrong is? If their parents are not teaching them what right and wrong is, how do they know what's right and what's wrong?
They do. They do. No, they do, honestly.
And I'm not making excuses for them, but like...
I think you are, because I'm not been listening to you, and I think you are. And the fact of the matter is...
trust me, I'm not. Listen, my daughter I'm not afraid of you, and I used to say, well, you better start running now, because when I catch you, you will be. You know, and I wasn't to put the fear of God in her. It was just to make her realise that I wasn't going to be judged up to. Never going to happen.
Yeah, but things have changed now, and what I'm saying is, you see it now. Nobody's afraid of the Gardaí. Nobody's afraid of their parents. Well, I'm not saying nobody. I mean these kids that we're talking about. They're not afraid of nobody. Anybody. The law, their parents, anybody. It's all broken down. It's a broken home. It's a broken hole. You look, I've seen that, Niall, and God love that girl there. And I'll never forget it because this stuck in my head, Niall. That woman there, I think she was a Chinese national. She was only at the finish of walk. She was stabbed in the neck there, Niall, when the robbery was taking place. Yeah. I'll never forget it. That really, because I was praying for her, Niall, that she'd pull through, because she was obviously, her husband was a bit late to pick her up, and she ended up in hospital anyway, Niall, and I was a God lover, you know, and I was just hoping that, and she didn't obviously pull through. Now, this is where you draw the line. He's a murderer, and I don't care what age he was. He's a kid.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you there. Yeah.
And no, but look, we have to agree. Everybody has to agree that 13, 14, 15, they're murderers. They're breaking the law, and there has to be a line drawn. You know, we have to lock these people up.
Yeah, but that's grand. He's a murderer. Absolutely, throw the key away. Never let him see the light of day again. But I still think there's some hope for 12 or 13-year-olds if you can get them into some kind of, like, as I said, a boot camp or something.
But the facilities are there. They're there. The facilities are there.
Well, you've only got Oberstown. There's not much use, really, is it?
No, I mean, sorry, Noel. I mean...
The facilities are not there.
Are you talking about the facilities for the community, or are you talking about...
No. The community thing, don't even go there, because that whole argument that we need more for them to do and keep them busy.
No, there's loads of that. That's what I'm saying. There's loads there to do.
Yeah.
Like, these don't want to do anything.
And can I point out, those facilities, there is more of those facilities in the areas with the higher crime rates. So in other words, they purposely put more of those facilities in to try and keep them busy. When we were young, we didn't have facilities. I think we had one community centre in about a 4-mile radius. We were bored out of our heads, but we still didn't commit crimes.
Real people, real opinions, Real Talk Radio. The multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.
Ireland's classic